Call the meeting to order. All those that can, please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Hey, Rick, before we get started, could you toss me admin?
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
You on the iPhone there?
No, I'm on my computer.
Wanted to, somehow I got the wrong one here. Yeah. Why it's doing that? This is like whack-a-mole. I've got the Zoom going up there, and every time I touch on somebody, it moves them up the ladder. So it's like I'm trying to make a person a co-host. And okay, so let's move forward here. Okay, roll call, please.
All board members are present this evening.
All right. Can we get I need to make a couple changes to the agenda. And the first one is in front of you. There's thing from the Office of the Sheriff, a memorandum for hiring an employee. And I'd like to add that, and we'll make it 10L. And then the other one is we're going to remove 10G, which is the SAD for Oakland County Road Commission. All right, that's all I think we have. Anybody else have anything that? All right, can I get somebody entertain a motion, please?
I would move to approve the agenda as amended.
Support.
Okay, moved and supported. Vote, please.
Mr. Howe,
Mr. Howell votes yes.
Mrs. Cooper,
Cooper, yes.
Ms. Frederick,
Frederick, yes.
Clerk Flowers votes yes. Mr. Salvia,
Salvia, yes.
Mrs. Lewis,
Lewis, yes.
Mr. Hamel,
Hamel, yes.
motion carries.
Can you guys hear okay out there? All right. I'm learning that I'm actually losing my hearing, and now I'm starting to, it's me, not you. Okay, the consent agenda. Can I get a motion to approve?
Motion to approve the consent agenda. Salvia.
Support.
Moved and supported. Vote, please.
Mrs. Cooper,
Cooper, yes.
Ms. Frederick,
Frederick, yes.
Clerk Flowers votes yes. Mr. Salvia,
Salvia, yes.
Mrs. Lewis,
Lewis, yes.
Mr. Howe,
Mr. Howell votes yes.
Mr. Hamel,
Hamel, yes.
motion carried.
All right, so looks like we got a lot of students out there. That's good. Next item is announcements and information. The township offices will be closed Friday, November 10th in observance of Veterans Day, and November 23rd and 24th in observance of Thanksgiving holiday. Ladies' Night Out is November 14th. Small Business Saturdays, November 25th. The Festival of Trees is December 1st through the 31st. And the Kris Kringle Market and tree lighting will be December 4th. All right, the next item is a presentation from the,
Mr. Supervisor, real quick, that tree lighting is the same night as our meeting.
what's that?
It's not? When's our meeting? The next, oh, okay, never mind.
Okay. Chief, you want to doing the swearing in firefighters? And Tammy?
Do you want to introduce who we have here?
Okay, that mic is hot there, so.
So we're doing a swearing in of our three new firefighters to the full-time ranks. We have Rob Young on the left. In the middle, Michael David, and on the right, Michael Moore, depending on which way you're facing, I guess. I'd like to congratulate them for becoming full-time members. All three of them have already been paid-on-call members of our department. Very good standings. I can't ask for any more expectations out of them because they've already done excellent jobs for us in the past. So just looking forward to seeing them continue that.
So raise your right hand and repeat after me. I do solemnly swear or affirm that I will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of this state, and that I will faithfully perform the duties of, and state your title. Okay, in and for the Township of Highland, County of Oakland, and State of Michigan, according to the best of my ability, so help me God. All right, congratulations and welcome.
Way to go, guys. That I was an EMT back in the late 70s, and I don't think I could pass the exams and the stuff that you guys go through today. It's way different, way different. And so for these firefighters to attain that title of being an emergency medical technician is extremely impressive. I mean, it's a lot of work and it's continuous, and they're there to help any of us that get ourselves in trouble medically. And you want to make sure that they've got the best of education. And I think these guys are really going to put Highland on the map for great service. And thank you very much. I appreciate it. All right, next item is public comment. Peter, Peter, you want to go first? Okay. I'm going to torture you. Thanks for coming. Hey, Peter, why don't you come up to the mic and then the public can hear you.
I'm sorry they left because I'd like them to have heard it. But all I got to say is when I'm able to come to these meetings, I feel really good that I see that government works. This government in Highland Township works. And I like that. Thank you.
Thank you.
All.
Should we clap for ourselves? Well, we have an awesome board here, and we definitely you don't see us arguing and putting up a fuss and making idiots out of ourselves at the table or when we're not at the table. So I appreciate those comments, and thank you very much. Okay, next.
Good evening. My name is Natalie Gardner and I live at 3740 Woodland. I want to thank you for the opportunity to speak tonight, and I have a packet regarding my concerns that has been placed before you. I want to bring to your attention an ordinance violation at 3720 Woodland that has not been enforced by the township regarding fence permit BP 220455, issued on September 8th, 2022, and extended to June 8th, 23. I'm respectfully requesting that the fence ordinance section 8.09, fence and screening structures number 4 be enforced. The ordinance reads, if one side of the fence or other screening structure has a more finished appearance than the other, then the side with the more finished appearance shall face the exterior of parcel and should be upheld at 3720 Woodland. The homeowners at 3720 Woodland failed to comply with this ordinance when they partially removed the fence to put up new boards of a different style. This can easily be observed by the pictures provided in your packets. The fence line is an absolute mess facing our parcel and has adversely affected the appearance and value of our home. The fence was a shadow box type fence with pickets on every other side of the support beams. The homeowners at 3720 Woodland took all the pickets off their side only and put up a solid fence facing their parcel. Again, the pictures clearly show this. When we filed a complaint with the township, Mr. Steve Tino, the township building official, came to the site and concluded that we do not have the more finished side of the fence. And as a result, Mr. Tino red flagged that job on May 24th. We called Mr. Tino in mid-July to learn the status of our complaint, and because of inactivity and no communication from either homeowner or the township regarding the matter. Much to our surprise, we were told the township was going to close the case, as Mr. Tino said they had spoken with colleagues, township board members, and the township lawyer, and that they're now referring us to pursue the matter in civil court. I was greatly disappointed that this was not communicated to us. Nevertheless, I requested Rick Hamill to personally come and see the fence, and it was agreed that he would do so. I contacted the township on July 24th to find out when Mr. Hamill would visit the site, and was told that he had already come and determined that we did have the more finished side of the fence. Being disappointed, I requested a letter of explanation as to why he came to this conclusion, and was told that the township does not have to provide such communication. We then were told that the case is closed and we would have to pursue this as a civil matter. As a citizen of Highland Township, I'd like to be told what I can expect from our leadership in the ordinances that they themselves established. I want Highland Township officials to stand by and enforce their written ordinances per Michigan State Township Ordinance Act 246 of 1945. I should not have to spend money to pursue an ordinance violation civilly when I'm already protected by your ordinance. My point is proven from the photo evidence that I've provided. Clearly, I do not have a more finished side of the fence, and I'm asking the township to resolve this case by making the homeowner at 3720 Woodland become compliant with the fence ordinance. Thank you.
Do you have any more to say?
It was just a tiny bit. That's fine.
Finish it.
Okay. I would like the homeowner at 3720 Woodland to become compliant with the fence ordinance 8.09 number 4 and immediately give me the more finished side of the fence. Thank you for your time. I appreciate it.
Thank you. All right. Any other public comment?
My name is William Robinson. I reside at 121 Reed Road. I'll make this quick. My issue is with Devoted Dentist across the street from where I live. As you know, they moved in recently, and now they have a lighted sign out front. This sign is clearly a nuisance to me. Not only does it glow onto my property, onto my house, and the light glows into my house. This is an extremely bright light. I have put film on my windows, but it still proceeds into my home, down the hallway, into my primary bedroom. I have spoken to the township about this. I've got no results. I've not heard back. I've spoke to Ms. Burkhardt on 3 occasions, not heard back. I spoke to her clerk, not heard back. I'm asking for some assistance. This is ridiculous that I can't look out my window. I can't open my door in the warm nights without this bright light shining into my house. I spoke to the dentist a while back. I asked about a green belt. He said, it's not my property. Yet he didn't make the modifications to the property. So I think he does have a responsibility to the neighborhood to address this. And I'm hoping the township will address this. The lighting ordinance needs to be updated. I don't understand why a dentist at 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock needs a light on. Who's he advertising to? Night owls? There's nobody out here. It's ridiculous. I'm on this corner 27 years. And it's just nothing but lights. And it impacts my quality of life. I can't enjoy my property. I can't sit out in my front yard. I can't walk down my driveway without getting blinded by this light. And I'm asking the township to address this with either the property owner the dentist, somebody. I think it's only fair. I don't think I should have to live like this. And I would not say, I would say to anybody in this township shouldn't have to live like this. I spoke to the lighting consultant. He told me in 28 years, he's never seen this. Okay, and I'm hoping because of that, something can be done to address this. It's just ridiculous. I have to keep my drapes closed or my door closed because there's this light. I understand it meets ordinance as far as lumens, but this is a little bit more than that. This is a bright light in my house, in my bedroom. I showed my son last night, he was floored. It shines off my curtain. That light is 30 feet from my house, and yet it lights up my house. It lights up the neighborhood. The first 3 houses are lit up.
Now, what street is that on?
Reed Road.
Reed Road, okay.
Yeah.
That's the new dentist that moved in?
I'm sorry?
The new owner the dentist that just recently moved in?
Yes.
Okay.
Like I said, I spoke to him back, I think it was July. He indicated it was going to be light. He indicated it wouldn't be that bright. That's fine, but it's literally in my face. And nothing's being done. I asked about whether he could just, landscape this, a green belt. I'm being told, well, we can't mandate because there's no ordinance. Well, this is beyond an ordinance. This is beyond my property. My property needs to be protected. I can't landscape my property to block this. I've spent over $25,000 since I've been
Now
here.
you're on the north side?
I'm on the corner. I'm on the south side or on the north side of where the sign is.
Okay,
So I'm just asking if somebody can talk to him, put a green belt, something to diffuse the light off of my house. That's all I'm asking. I think of all the money he's put into that business, he can at least put a green belt in to protect my property because you're devaluing my house.
We'll look into it for sure.
I really appreciate it if you do. I really appreciate it. Thank you.
all right. Anthony?
Thank you, Township Board. I would ask for more than 3 minutes tonight, but if you please, I just wanted to keep my comments brief and to the point. First off, I just wanted to congratulate the township for the new wayfinding, the signs up and down Milford Road. I really am pleased that the township has finally found an identity and a brand. And I would like to compliment Pete Eichinger for the signs. And I would like to see more of that perhaps along Hickory Ridge and Duck Lake Road if there is a phase 2. So with that, I don't know if there's going to be time for public comment for the budget, the proposed budget. But if there's not, I just wanted to make a point on page 13 for Hickory Ridge Park improvements, and the proposed amount is $75,000 for asphalt path repair, boulder vehicle restraint, picnic tables, electric gate. I would hope that part of that, there's also speed signs, caution signs, children at play signs, perhaps a crosswalk, even the front entryway that connects the road to Hickory Ridge Park to Hickory Ridge Road seems to create some type of safety hazards. Just as you turn in the park, I know that speed has been an issue up and down along that road that leads to the park. So just wanted to point that out. And I was just curious to see if the Huron Valley Soccer Club is going to participate or help offset the cost of the repairs to the trail.
To the trail? No, because that's a separate.
So they lease only the fields.
Yep.
Okay, but then they put the fence up so you can't utilize all of the parking there as well. So now they have the half of the parking lot that's blocked off, and you can't really access parking there. So it becomes, again, another safety issue, which is a concern for the welfare of citizens and guests of the township. Finally, I'm doing great on time today. So I just wanted to point out as a citizen, also as a friend, that make the statement that ordinance and zoning in the township without enforcement is anarchy. And so I would urge you to enforce the township ordinance for signs, for fences, for accessory structures. So that way we can continue to grow And these are just growing pains that we see. And then my last point is that it's high time that we make way for new leadership in the township. So I would implore trustees to consider retirement. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Next item, any other public comment? All right,
I'd like to say something real quick about yesterday out at what is it? The Empty Bowl. Thank you very much. I was asked to do that and I said, that'd be great. And then got closer. I'm thinking, what am I doing? And I was so happy that when I went out there yesterday, it was very impressive. I was amazed at the amount of people and the way it was set up, and Highland was very well represented by many people on the board, and that was great. And many people from the township and fire chief and Lieutenant Schneider, and we had a lot of people there. And so it was really well done. And I raised a lot of money for community sharing, which was awesome. And I was just very honored to be a part of that, and look forward to next year. So that's good. Thank you, Judy, for asking me to go. So I appreciate it. So.
I'd like to second that because that was the first year I ever participated in. I thought, what a awesome cause. And to see a turnout like that was just so heartwarming. And it was a great venue, great soup. And, thanks to all the restaurants that contributed soups that I've never even heard of before. It was really awesome. And it was a great place to meet people that you hadn't seen in a long time. So I'm looking forward to next year already.
I'll third that. Can't say any better on that.
Thank you, thank you, thank you to all our local celebrities that went and served soup. So we represented Highland very well, and I really appreciate all your input and your time. To Lieutenant Snyder and Nick and Tammy and Rick, they all put stuff in for the silent auction. So it was a great day. Good stuff. Fun day. So thank you so much.
no, Matt, was your thing for the silent auction, that was 1 day in jail? A day with a deputy. Thanks, folks. Appreciate it. Yep. All right. Okay, so we're gonna move on to the section 9.
I have a comment.
Yes.
When do we discuss the ordinance? So forth, why it's not being, when do we do that as a township board? Am I missing something?
Essentially, the only time you really discuss the ordinances is when it comes in front of the planning commission. Then the planning commission then presents any changes or things like that. And otherwise, they basically sit there static as the law.
So can we enforce ordinances or not?
Sometimes you can, and sometimes you try, and sometimes it doesn't work, so.
And in this case, we tried to enforce it. Did we?
Which one?
The one we just had. The fence.
The fence.
Just talking about.
Well, actually, if you look at the picture, I guess I'll give you a little description of it because nobody's discussing it. That fence was not built by the couple that were here. It was built by the previous owners 29 years ago. They built the fence because where it's at, which happens to be on the neighbor's property, the previous owners did. And they built it, and it was the Beards, from High Mill. So that house, they let the neighbor build the fence. And it was a shadow box, not these people, but the previous. So, which means there's alternating boards. So it looks the same on both sides. The house burned down. And the property went up for sale, and they got a new owner. The new owner decided to take the fence that turned out to be on his property. So he owns it and reskin one side of it. Now, whether he applied for a permit, I'm guessing there must have been some application for permit. That's stuff that, you know, you'd go crazy if we got bombarded with all that information. But so what we've got to do is find out what transpired. So was it according to this couple, which wasn't put forth in the public comment, is that somebody is saying that somebody didn't put truthful statements on the application. That's one part of it. So what can we do? I don't know. You know, what happens is reskinning one side of the fence, is that replacing a fence? Is it a new fence? If you put in a new fence, then the better side has to face the other party. But if you're not building a new fence and you're just reskinning or replacing boards, what is that?
Well, that's becoming illegal.
So that's where we're at on that. So now we've got to do the research on it.
Thank you.
Where was I? Okay. Public hearing. On the budget. So we're gonna open the public hearing at 6:58 PM. And anybody in the public want to make a comment? You have it. You got to make your comment, or you want to make another one?
Just the last one was about the Duck Lake Pines. I thought when we agreed to the tower that was being placed there, that they were gonna pay for park improvements at Duck Lake Pines.
No, the money from the tower goes to the parks. They don't pay for the improvements. The revenue goes to the parks, has to be used in the parks.
So,
There's lease fees that come in every month.
and what's the estimated revenue from the towers?
It's hard to say because it's only, right now, it'd only be one carrier,
Which is Verizon.
right? And
Okay.
over time, it could add up to 2, 3, 5, whatever, and then it goes up. So
All right,
there's really we have no solid revenue at this point. I'd probably do about 10 grand or something. I don't know, that's a guess. We can't really give you that answer.
yeah, that's fine. I would just ask that money be put back into the parks then,
It
the
has
money
to
that's
be,
allocated.
it has to be.
Resolution, we have to, because we have a grant for the Duck Lake.
Okay,
So the DNR says that you have to put it back in to parks.
that's wonderful. Good to know.
Yep.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. Okay, anybody else have a comment on the budget? All right, then we'll close the public hearing at 7 o'clock. And the next item is a public hearing for CDBG monies. And we'll start that at 7:01. So I guess I can read that. Okay, it says notice is hereby given that the Highland Township Board of Trustees will conduct a public hearing on the use of community developed black grant funds. The hearing will be held today for the purpose of hearing public comments on the community development black grant program. Year 2024 application, the approximate amount of $28,743 to fund the eligible projects. All interested citizens are requested to attend. So I guess we need to look at it. Resolution CDBG, it's page 143. So I'll read the resolution so that you understand what we're looking at. It says, whereas Oakland County is preparing the annual action plan. What's that? I'm sorry. What is our action plan here?
25,243 for senior centers. And then 3,500 for senior services, which is Meals on Wheels. And at the senior center, I don't know what you guys came up with.
It's accordion
Oh, accordion doors.
doors, which are getting ready to
Yeah.
dividing doors. Okay, probably should have those two things next to each other, but that's all right. All right, so any comments?
Can I say something? What did you guys hear, my students? What was a term that was brought up? Are you listening? Block grants, one of our terms, block grants. Come on, pay attention. Thank you.
All right. Okay, no public comment, then we'll close the hearing at 7:03. Oh, yes. Chatty today.
Yeah, it's open mic. So I know in the past that these block grants have been awarded to Haven survivors of domestic violence. I would advocate for that as well. It's always nice to share some of the wealth with some of the smaller organizations in our community. And also I would advocate for the Huron Valley Council for the Arts. If there's any money in the pool for the CBD, just for building improvements, perhaps. I'm a big advocate for art, and I know they do a good job in the community here as well. So just a consideration to speak up for those that couldn't be here tonight.
All right.
And that's all.
So
Okay.
can I, on the services, we can only spend a certain amount. You can only, this year, I think they went down to 15%. So we could only choose one.
Okay.
So we did do Meals on Wheels, and next year we'll do the Haven.
We rotate.
We're gonna rotate. They change it every year. It's usually 30%, but this one went down to 15. And for the Steeple Hall, the Arts Council that you're speaking of, we already have a block grant for the septic replacement.
Wonderful.
Yeah. And we've replaced the windows, the roof, the flooring. We keep improving it every
And
year.
it shows, it looks great. Thank you.
Thanks, Anthony. All right.
When you left the room, I did bring up some concerns about the ordinance, so just so you know, I said something about the ordinance.
Thank you, Mr. Salva.
Just want you to know that you
We're
left-
gonna close this part of the public hearing, and now, if you got.
Yeah, we have a public hearing open right
Yeah,
now.
no, I closed it.
Oh, what time?
At 7:05.
Okay.
So, all right. Thank you. Uh-oh, what happened there? I hope it's still recording. All right, next item is move to new business. And it's the final whack of the budget here. And there has been one item that we changed since the last two conversations on this. And it's on page 13. And it's in the maroon color. It says new roof. That's on the old Fire Station 1. The roof's got leaks that have actually come in and shorted out a computer for the WODA. And so we looked at replacing that roof, and in order to do it with shingles, if you remember, I brought that up before, we put in like $75,000, something like that in there for that. And when we started thinking about it, the roof on this building is a 100-year roof. And it makes sense that you've got a good solid building over here. We've got a kind of a complex. We should match up the roof on that, not have to redo it again for 100 years. And so when you consider that $75,000 for shingles versus $150,000 for steel, you'd be replacing that roof multiple times in that time period. So that's what the recommendation was. Now, here's what kind of comes up on that. The reason I'm bringing it up now is because there's at the end, there's a thing about a roof memo, you know, and timing on that. So we'll move into that, but that's the only change is we upped that to 150 to cover that cost. And we'll go from there. So anybody else have any questions on the budget?
There was one other change that we made according on the ordinance officer position,
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes.
page 6. It was to get the township's portion of his pay back up to 50%.
So that's in yellow on page 6. All right, those are 2 changes. Thanks, Tammy.
It changed. So originally it was 50%. And then the firefighters went up higher than the township. So then our percentage was less. And now it's back up to 50. Just a motion.
Sure.
I move to approve the 2024 Highland Township budget as presented.
Support.
Okay, moved and supported. Any other questions, discussion?
As presented. No, it's
Wow.
whichever it needs to be.
Okay. All right.
And once again, I say it every year, but great job on the budget. And excellent, as always. It's a lot of work and very proud to always vote on this. We do we do a great job for the township. So it's good.
Well, it's the help of the treasurer and the clerk and other employees. My assistant went at it full bore, which was very impressive. Exciting for her. She liked having her fingers in that whole thing. So, all right. So, vote.
Ms. Frederick,
Frederick, yes.
Clerk Flowers votes yes. Mr. Salvia,
Salvia, yes.
Mrs. Lewis.
Lewis, yes.
Mr. Howe,
Mr. Howell votes yes.
Mrs. Cooper,
Cooper, yes.
Mr. Hamel.
Hamel, yes.
Motion carries.
All right. Next item is 10B. Resolution 23-33 General Appropriation Act. Who wants to handle that one? That kind of falls in the treasurer's, doesn't it?
So this resolution is to approve the salary, the hourly wages for our employees. It's more or less to put it out there and show what we're paying everybody. And that is for 2024.
Is that correct? Yes, it is. Okay. Yeah, it's all part of that. All right.
So the millage rates, I think they're just restating them. We already approved them. So this is to say, this is what we're collecting. And this is how the employees will be paid.
And we attached the new grade and salary structure to that. So in passing this, that kind of represents our formal adoption of that system.
Which has taken 10 years to get figured out. And good job on all right.
I would move to approve resolution 23-33 for the 2024 General Appropriations Act.
Support.
Okay, moved and supported. Any questions? Discussion? All right, vote please.
All right, Clerk Flowers votes yes. Mr. Salvia,
Salvia, yes.
Mrs. Lewis,
Lewis, yes.
Mr. Howe,
Mr. Howell votes yes.
Mrs. Cooper,
Cooper, yes.
Mrs. Frederick,
Frederick, yes.
Mr. Hamel.
Hamel, yes.
Motion carries.
All right, next item is resolution 23-34 to opt out of the provisions of PA 152 of 2011. You know, we do this every year. It seems like there should be more definition in this, and I never remember what the exact purpose of that is.
Because the state legislators want all local jurisdictions to move towards having employees pay 20% of their healthcare costs. And we haven't gotten to that 100% yet. We have every employee hired after 2016 is paying 20%, but people were hired before that are grandfathered in are not paying 20%. So we're not meeting that standard, so we have to opt out of it every year.
Now, that's a good definition. Thank you. All right. Entertain a motion.
I would move to approve resolution 23-34 to opt out of the provisions of Public Act 152 of 2011.
Support.
Moved and supported. Vote please.
Mr. Salvia,
Salvia, yes.
Mrs. Lewis,
Lewis, yes.
Mr. Howe,
Mr. Howell votes yes.
Mrs. Cooper,
Mrs. Cooper votes yes.
Miss Frederick,
Frederick, yes.
Clerk Flowers votes yes. Mr. Hamel.
Hamel, yes.
Motion carries.
Okay, this time every year we have to discuss our Blue Care network or our health insurance. And we have an unusual health insurance package. And what's unusual about it is that we have set up with our insurance agent to have the lowest possible deductible that you could get. I think it's what, $250 for each of the employees. And the way that's handled is that it's loaded on the other side by how healthy do we stay, and then and we pay a premium that helps cover that. So if we can keep our group healthy, and as we get older, it costs a little more. But anyways, it's an unusual way to do it. So there's not a lot of companies that play that type of a game with it. And what it does is it makes it really fair for the employees not having to have huge deductibles. And I think that's important to keep, people employed here and want to continue to work for us. So anyways, as usual, the insurance goes up every year. Based on our policy, our board policy, or if it goes up 5%, over 5%, then we're supposed to go out for quotes. The increase was 8.7% over 2023. But as I stated in the memorandum, that if you take in the rate of inflation, it was 5.1%. It's really only looking at a 3.6% increase. So I guess we could kind of default and say that in reality, it fits within the 5%. So I'm asking that we renew the policy. I don't know. Do we need to waive the board policy on that? Probably. All right. I'm going to have somebody request
I would move to waive the board's policy on
purchasing policy
on the healthcare for 2024.
Support.
Okay, moved and supported. Vote please. Yeah, we'll waive the policy. Okay, vote.
How about questions? Question. So it's an 8.7% increase. I know, no matter how you look at it, it's an 8.7 increase. So just wondering how we're factoring, the difference.
How you
Still-
factor in the difference?
we're still
Well,
basically-
if you only had 2% inflation, then their increase probably would have been lower.
So they're factoring their raise. because
Well,
of-
that's my
All right, I just
opinion.
want to
I'm
make
just
sure
saying that
we're clear.
that's my interpretation. So
All right.
that's why we're waiving requesting to waive the board policy. Okay, well, thanks, Joe.
I would just also add that part of that increase is due because all the employees are a year older this year than they were last year. You know,
So
so
part of it-
some of that every year is just from aging up.
So the age difference changes the premium factor.
Yeah, because we pay by age and by, number of family members for each employee.
Rick and Tammy, doesn't our company Burnham Flowers, don't they look for different companies for us to
Yes,
see?
yes.
So it feels like they're doing the bidding for the sealed bids, looking for a better cost for us.
Yes, and they would do that if we asked them to. They haven't had time because these rates literally just came in last week. So if we wanted them to go out and bid out others, then they could do that. But
Well, and
there's
it-
not a lot of comparables for what we do.
Right, as Rick said, we have a very unusual policy.
Right.
And the other side is that and Judy, I think you were a victim of it in the past where you changed your healthcare provider and then your doctor falls off. Now you got to find new doctors. This is really disruptive to employees to have to go through that. So this is where, the board decision to stick with what you have, even though there's a slight increase in cost, makes sense to me. But that's why you would want to keep it. So, all right. Did we vote?
We didn't vote. All right, we ready?
Yep,
All right, we're voting on waiving the policy to bid this out.
correct.
Mrs. Lewis,
Lewis, yes.
Mr. Howe,
Sir Hal votes yes.
Mrs. Cooper,
Cooper, yes.
Miss Frederick,
Frederick, yes.
Clerk Flowers votes yes. Mr. Salvia,
Salvia, yes.
Mr. Hamel,
Hamel, yes.
motion carries.
Okay, so now,
I move to approve the Blue Care Network insurance renewal for 2024 as presented.
Support.
moved and supported. Vote please.
Mr. Howe,
Sir Hal votes yes.
Mrs. Cooper,
Cooper, yes.
Miss Frederick,
Frederick, yes.
Clerk Flowers votes yes. Mr. Salvia,
Salvia, yes.
Mrs. Lewis,
Lewis, yes.
Mr. Hamel,
Hamel, yes.
motion carries.
Okay, next item is resolution 23-35, approving the 2024 Community Development Block Grant application.
I move to approve resolution 2335, approving the 2024 Community Development Block Grant application.
Support.
Moved and supported. Vote please.
Mrs. Cooper,
Cooper, yes.
Miss Frederick,
Frederick, yes.
Clerk Flowers votes yes. Mr. Salvia,
Salvia, yes.
Mrs. Lewis.
Lewis, yes.
Mr. Howe,
Sir Hal votes yes.
Mr. Hamel,
Hamel, yes.
motion carries.
Okay, the next item is a license agreement for use of Highland Township property for early voting. Tammy, you want to explain this? Microphone.
So hopefully you saw the letter from our legal firm explaining some of the aspects of it. Because we're going to host early voting here in the auditorium, we need to sign this. The main things are that, we're going to preempt any meetings happening here during that early voting 9 days. We'll push them over to the fire station on that for anything that conflicts. And then making you aware that being a polling place means that political signs could potentially be placed here during those 9 days. Now, as it works out, signs are not allowed within 100 foot of our entrance. And because 100 foot would put us out into the across the street neighbor's yard, they would have to go at least 100 foot either way down the sidewalk. So it's basically gonna be either on the side or the back of the property, but during early voting, signs are legal, where we don't normally have political signs on township property.
Tammy? Can I ask you a quick question? Since this would include White Lake and Highland, so we could have actually political signs for White Lake as well as Highland here. Are we still going to be in charge, so to speak, of removing signage that might not be Highland signs if they're not appropriately placed?
So, so if White Lake would be permitted, because their voters would be voting here as well. And, I'm not sure on who enforces it. I assume that, our staff will sort of be watching over things. The workers are trained to put the markers out to show how far away from the entrance they could be. And, but they'll probably be busy with voters, so usually that kind of thing handles itself, so to speak. Somebody lets us know if somebody else is doing something wrong. Lisa wants to talk.
Yes. Okay. So we just have to approve this.
I move to approve the license agreement for use of Highland Township property for early voting in 2024.
Support.
Moved and supported. Vote please.
Ms. Frederick,
Frederick, yes.
Clerk Flowers votes yes. Mr. Salvia,
Salvia, yes.
Mrs. Lewis,
Lewis, yes.
Mr. Howe,
Mr. Howell votes yes.
Mrs. Cooper,
Cooper, yes.
Mr. Hamel.
Hamel, yes.
Motion carries.
All right, next item, fire department sale of Stryker MX Pro transporter stretcher. So I'll put that out there for you. This is a transport stretcher that is basically no longer used by us. And rather than junking it, it turns out that there's another department or people who want to repurpose it are willing to pay for it. And so it's a kind of a bonus to be able to get some money out of it, so to speak. And what's the amount on that?
They offered $1,000 for it,
$1,000?
which is more than what we're offered for any of the trade-in values from
Page 160.
when we purchase new ambulances, things like that, or upgrade our equipment. Normally they'll do a buyback. And the $1,000 is more or double what they offered to buy them back for. So
Good. I move to approve the
So Lisa had given me some feedback earlier today. We need to, first of all, declare this surplus. And then because it doesn't follow the disposal policy, then we need to waive policy. And also due to liability concerns, we want to have a contract or an agreement that the buyer would sign off on to say it's as is, no liability comes back to us. So we need to authorize the supervisor to sign that agreement.
I have a question. How does it not meet the disposal? We can sell it or,
So the policy says you would bid things out.
oh, got you.
So we're gonna spend $800 to advertise it to get $200 back. That's why you waive the policy. All right, so Tammy, you made all of the statements for the motion.
Go in the motion.
Mm-hmm,
So if you wouldn't
Tammy
mind
made the
making that motion.
sure. Wait a minute, wait, let me try. Okay, so I would move to declare the transport stretcher as surplus property and to waive the policy for disposal of equipment and to approve this sale along with approving the supervisor to sign a purchase agreement with a liability waiver.
Say it again, I missed it. Oh, you just shut it off. Support.
SUPPORT.
Okay, jeez. All right, anybody that's listening to this is probably wondering what's going on. All right, so we've got a motion, we got support. Vote please. Any questions? You have a question? No questions? Vote please.
All right, Clerk Flowers votes yes. Mr. Salvia,
Salvia, yes.
Mrs. Lewis.
Lewis, yes.
Mr. Howe,
Mr. Hal votes yes.
Mrs. Cooper,
Cooper, yes.
Mrs. Frederick,
Frederick, yes.
Mr. Hamel.
Hamel, yes.
Motion carries.
Okay, next item is activity center request to hire an interim activity assistant. In your package, there was the memo that I think makes it pretty clear that we've got an individual who is recently having some health issues, not able to work them for a minimum 8 to 12 weeks. So it leaves the activity director in a deep hole without the help she needs. So she'd like to hire an interim activity assistant. The hours worked are, let's see, I'm going to make this a motion to approve the hiring of an intern activity assistant. Hours to be worked are not to exceed 29 per week at the starting rate of $17 per hour. What's that? Push the button on the mic there.
You're also going to want to authorize the supervisor to sign a contract delineating the limits of that position.
Because it's short term.
And the supervisor, authorize the supervisor to sign a contract limiting the term of that position. Is that correct? Close. All right.
And so this will be before the next board meeting. Can we do the supervisor to approve the hiring? Is that the same as the agreement? Okay,
All right. That was a motion, so,
support.
okay. Any other questions? All right, vote please.
Mr. Salvia,
Salvia, yes.
Mrs. Lewis,
Lewis, yes.
Mr. Howe,
Mr. Hal votes yes.
Mrs. Cooper,
Cooper, yes.
Miss Frederick,
Frederick, yes.
Clerk Flowers votes yes. Mr. Hamel.
Hamel, yes.
Motion carries.
Okay, so next item is J, that's obligating ARPA funds.
Yes, so in 22, we received the funds, maybe 23. We have ARPA funds and we'd like to obligate our ARPA funds to revenue replacement to reimburse our general payroll. And this is just to make it clear, because if we obligate it by the end of 2023, we get 2% more in our CVRTS funds, state shared revenue funds.
Ooh, that's significant.
Mhm.
What, do you know what the state revenue sharing is total? Million? How much money? $2.1. Yeah. Times 2%, that's $40,000. That's significant. Thank you for coming. Okay, so. Somebody want to make a motion?
I would move to obligate our ARPA funds as revenue replacement to reimburse our general payroll.
Support.
Okay, moved and supported. Vote, please.
Mrs. Lewis,
Lewis, yes.
Mr. Howe,
Mr. Hal votes yes.
Mrs. Cooper,
Cooper, yes.
Miss Frederick,
Frederick, yes.
Clerk Flowers votes yes. Mr. Salvia,
Salvia, yes.
Mr. Hamel.
Hamel, yes.
Motion carries.
All right, next item is what I brought up in the budget on the roof for 250 West Livingston. And we actually asked, when it says we received a bid, they Rycam Roofing is the contractor that did our roof on this building. And so we asked them to give us a quote because number one, I knew that they had been vetted by the general contractor, Summit, to do this roof. And they also agreed that they would do it at the same rate as they did this building for the 2021 numbers. So I handed out a sheet to each of you. This is the information we were able to get from the general contractor. They didn't have the actual bids digitized. So, but there was 5 quotes or bids that came in. The winning bid was Rycam at $455,107 for this building. This building is 23,315 square foot of roof. So that equates to, in essence, $19.52 a square foot. The next bidder was $468,947. That's $20.11 a square foot. The next bidder was, highest bidder was $525,000. That was $22.50 a foot. The fourth bidder was $611,940. That was $26.25 a square foot. And the highest bidder was $700,375 at $30 and something a square foot. So this is a case where once again, waiving the board policy to be able to, instead of going out for bids and trying to find the contractor that would probably be one of these 5 anyways. We had the offer from the original company, Rycam, to do it at the original price that this building was done at. So I guess what I'm asking for is that there's a scenario where they're 3 months out on their installation once a contract is signed. So I'm not 100% sure how we need to handle this, so we can talk about it. But so if we were, considering the fact that the building's leaking and every time it rains, which it's been raining quite regularly, we need to probably get something on the books as soon as possible. So it means that we're going to need to do a contract with, should we approve this, to do a contract with them so we can get on their books for, so we can get this done as soon as in the new year as possible. Now, this includes stripping the roof down, putting on the this what they call shark skin, which is what they used on this roof, which is the top of the line roof sealant material, and gutters and the whole works, just the same as what this building has, and the same material and color. And so anyways, I guess what I'm asking for is we could probably.
So we would need to do a motion to waive the purchasing policy for this, and then do a motion to approve the project. I would.
Sounds right.
I move to approve waiving the purchasing policy for a new roof at Old Fire Station 1 on Livingston Road.
250 West Livingston.
250 West Livingston.
Yep.
Yeah.
The fire hall is 7,500 square feet.
That was a motion.
So.
Support.
Okay, moved and supported. Any further discussion on that? This is a waiving.
Oh,
Okay. All right, so a vote on waiving,
Yes.
waiving the policy.
Are we ready?
Yes.
All right. Mr. Howe,
Mr. Howell votes yes.
Mrs. Cooper,
Cooper, yes.
Ms. Frederick,
Frederick, yes.
Clerk Flowers votes no, Mr. Salvia,
So yes,
Mrs. Lewis,
Louis, yes.
Mr. Hamel.
Hamel, yes.
Motion carries.
Okay, so then the next item,
So we need a motion to do the project.
right,
I move to approve the project of replacing the roof at 250 West Livingston, with the work being done by RICAM. Authorizing the supervisor to sign a contract not to exceed, is that 150?
I would,
Oh, do we have a price for the
146, 430.
146, 430?
If you make it 150, it would.
Not to exceed 150,000.
50,000, yeah. Okay, that's a motion.
That was.
Support,
Support.
okay. Moved and supported. Any questions? Yes, Beth.
I just had a quick question, not being extremely familiar with contractors that do roofing. Are most of the materials among all of the contractors that bid materials are the same quality and guarantees are pretty much identical, or what did you find when you?
There are different gauges of metal. These were the original quotes were all based on a specific gauge, a specific style, specific color. So they were all apples to apples. So it was very well presented to the for what went out to bid. So, all right, any other questions? Okay. Yes,
Is WODA in a position to participate at all in this?
I would say no, because
WODA pays us rent. Oh,
But so does the sheriff's department. Just saying.
yeah, I would say that probably is, I can pretty much guarantee that would not be a non-starter working with the county on that one. Because it's not really furthering the transportation services. And it is our building. You know, if WODA owned the building, then that'd be a different thing, then they'd have to pay for it, but and we don't have what's called a triple net lease with them, so triple net meaning that if that means if the roof goes, they pay for it, you know, if the AC goes, they pay for it. So we don't have that, but so anyways, I will say that, you know, when you say $150,000, that's a boatload of money. But when you look at the long term of it and to make decisions that to save some money up front, only to know that you're going to spend 3 times that down the road or more, who knows, the way stuff, cost of stuff has gone up, that it just makes sense to protect that building for the next 100 years like we built these to be. So,
question.
yes.
So what the building is going to be maintained and we're going to keep the building and we're going to use it for something
In the future.
Okay, that's an absolute. Okay.
Yep.
All right.
Yep.
So you expect WODA to live there for the long term?
No,
How long will they be there?
don't know.
You have an idea?
No.
is there a time limit on our agreement, a lease agreement we have with them?
No. Yeah, I don't, they're, right now, there's definitely, they're gonna have to move someplace because they don't have enough space. I mean, we're parking buses all over the place. We, as a member of the WODA board. And right now, the county's still trying to work out all the details of the 4 contractors that are involved. Yep, 4 contractors. And we just submitted a budget that was went from 2.4 million to 9 million. And you know, so in order to make all this stuff happen, you got to get the county on board with all these different components of it. And what you want to do is you want to make sure that you don't run out and buy a $20 million building when you really don't have the program set up for it yet. But it definitely is, if you look in the parking lot, we've got a lot of vehicles out there. And we don't want to end up having the whole thing be a WOTA parking lot. So, there's full, and they don't have enough office space either, so.
So with us making rent of 25,000 a year, it'll take 6 years
Pay for it.
to pay for this roof, and hopefully they'll be there at least that long.
I would say probably realistically that they would cover that.
Yeah, and then after they're gone, what would it be used for?
Most likely for lack of a better term, it'd be the maintenance department. So we'd park the vehicles and stuff in there. There is a hoist that's bolted to the floor, and that'll probably end up being part of it. So, but it makes a good opportunity so that as, you know, things grow in the community, you still have a building that's got functionality for this. So, and potentially additional storage too. So
Potentially a community building, gathering building too. I mean, that's what I see it as.
you'd have to move the hoist out of there, but
Like,
it's possible. I mean,
yeah.
I'm not gonna say,
Yeah.
I won't be around.
Yeah.
I hope I'm around, but I mean, I don't know if I'll be involved in it at that point, but it definitely shouldn't, I don't think we should sell it. I mean, that's, you can't get it back once you let it go. So, yeah, it's got lots of potential. Right. Any other questions?
So.
Yeah. All right, let's do a vote.
All right. Mrs. Cooper,
I'm sorry, I have to vote no.
Miss Frederick,
Frederick, yes.
Clerk Flowers votes no. Mr. Salvia,
I would have had one question. We would need to start a committee to figure out what we're gonna do with the building. That would be important. I mean, we need to get some kind of planning to say if WOTA pulls out, what are we gonna do with the building? Not just. not know
Well,
about it.
here's the issue. Need a roof. You want to put a short-term roof on and be what I would call irresponsible to the future? Or do you want to fix the roof with a material that'll last 100 years and you save the future taxpayers
I
money?
understand that.
That's what that's
conception. I
about.
understand.
What WOTA does,
I don't care about what I'm saying. What, if we're gonna be responsible for it, we need to make sure we are gonna use it.
we will use.
We're not gonna last, we're
Yeah.
not gonna last 100 years, but we need to make sure we have a plan for it. Okay. I would vote yes.
Mrs. Lewis,
Lewis, yes.
Mr. Howe,
Mr. Howe votes yes.
Mr. Hamel,
Hamel, yes.
motion carries.
Okay. Next item. Lieutenant? Get that thing right up to your mouth. It closed.
Yeah, I appreciate the board taking this last minute agenda item. Marcy Giroux, my office manager, has been working for me for 10 years. December, she is retiring. Last week, we interviewed 7 applicants. That's all that applied, 7. And they all did a great job, but one stood out, and that's Rachel Holcomb. I'm requesting the board approve to hire Rachel for the office manager position at the Highland substation. She would start November 27th at a pay rate of 22 per hour for a training period. After her training period, the pay rate would be increased to 24 per hour, not to exceed 29 hours per week.
All right. I'll make the motion that we approve the hiring of Rachel Holcomb for the position of office manager. Start date November 27th, pay rate $22 per hour for the training period. After training, the pay rate would be $24 per hour, not to exceed 29 hours a week.
Support.
Any questions?
Question. Tammy, so the, under the new grade levels that we just approved, sheriff administration is under 3, which it looks like the starting rate is 24.27.
Yeah.
So you're hiring at 22
For training.
for training.
You know, that was for a training period.
So then,
And then, you know, when I put this, you know, I don't know what the township pay rates are.
right,
So if it has to be bumped up a little bit, I'd be in agreement. Marcy, that's a specialized position. She does a broad band of, you know, clerical duties with all the certifications with the programs we use. You know, I was looking to increase that anyway. I don't think Rachel is quite gonna be there, but the 24 plus is a good starting point.
okay. And I was,
Now, another thing, Marcy is here till the end of December.
oh,
So she will be training her. So keep in mind that I'll have both of them working for about a month.
mhm.
That's important.
I was just checking out our new grade level.
So,
Would you mind if we made her rate
24.40.
24.27? when
After
she completes
training.
training?
24,
Yes.
27, the police.
And then,
administration says 24.
How long is the training period? So until,
Go back to the other sheet.
Training period will be for 30 days till, you know,
until Marcy is done.
Right there,
Okay,
24.40.
So in 2024, it says we're paying Marcy 24.40.
right.
It just wasn't lined up with our thing.
But she's not gonna be here in 2024, right? So, can you amend your motion to make that the pay rate 24.27? And note that the training period is until the current person retires.
Yes. I'll amend it. Say exactly that.
Okay,
Support.
all right.
Okay, so 24.47 per hour, training period, to, end,
24.27.
24.27. 27. All right. Nothing like weird numbers. All right,
Going forward, they're always gonna be weird, because it's gonna be a % increase.
okay. That was a motion.
Okay.
And Brian,
Are
second.
we ready to vote?
Ready to vote?
Mrs. Frederick,
Frederick, yes.
Clerk Flowers votes yes. Mr. Salvia,
Salvia, yes?
Mrs. Lewis,
Lewis, yes.
Mr. Howe,
Mr. Howell votes yes.
Mrs. Cooper,
Cooper, yes.
Mr. Hamel.
Hamel, yes.
Motion carries.
Okay, on that note,
I have a
meeting,
question.
meetings, you want this,
Well, I want to know about the lighting for the park. Is that in yet?
not yet.
Okay. When will that be slated to go in?
Don't know. I
Okay.
don't know today, but it will happen. All right, so on that note, meeting is adjourned.